Well, I think that it's proper for me to say good morning to your good self, to my brother, friend, and comrade, Oliver Bakavamawo. Good.
Was it your birthday yesterday?
Yesterday, yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Many years and looking young,
growing younger.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is to take good care of yourself. Not
right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so, and to all the other panelists who will be on this program, I think I can say that so far, so very good. It appears to me that John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, is so determined, is bold, and decisive. He knows he has 4 years, so he's choosing his ministers carefully, working within the constraints of the Constitution, dealing with huge numbers in Parliament, trying to recruit the best from Parliament who align to the values or to his values and his desire to leave a lasting legacy for this country. So when you have a president who is constrained by the number of years that he can be in office, the number of times that he can present himself for president,
and the number of ministers he has imposed on himself.
The number of ministers he has imposed, that limitation. There is an invidious responsibility placed on him not to joke with his appointments. And in trying to fulfill his mandate against the background of the fact that the people of Ghana repose tremendous confidence in him to reset this country, he has to choose carefully. And in choosing carefully, people will be disappointed. I mean, you know that in this country, many politicians have a filthy sense of entitlement. And so some have been waiting, thinking that the president will get them into offices. Some have been greatly disappointed because of their contribution to the success of the president. But you are looking at the president who is acutely aware that he cannot fail the people of this country, that he cannot sink below the depths that the MPP sank, that in electing to reset the country, he was communicating to the people that he will do better and put the country on a sound pedestal. So recruitment to carry out this mandate, recruitment for this vision will be tough, will be disappointing to some people, and will have to depart from his earlier ways of doing things. And that you can see that clearly. Yes, and again, you have 187 members of parliament on the majority side of government. So it is unlike any other parliament we've had in this Fourth Republic. Article 78(1) says a majority of his ministers must come from parliament. Now, majority of ministers means majority. But here you have 187 to deal with. When you had 160, 157, you could manage. But you have 187.
Is 187 the caucus?
The caucus.
Or including those who have decided to sit with the NDC? Those
who have decided to sit with NDC now are counted as part, and you know how parliament is structured.
Right.
Are counted as part of the majority caucus. And in the past, some of them have been given ministerial positions. So you have to deal with all of them. The recruitment process is not an easy task. And that's why you see people being moved. That's why you see that in discussions, the public have suggested that some people be put in certain positions.
He's done 42 so far, 18 more to go. After marking the minority leader and ranking on the confirmation committee, says the president should just apologize to Ghanaians that he didn't really mean it when he says 60, and he needs more than 60 to govern the country. And bring as many numbers as he wants, and they will approve them.
No, we are not going to accept that. As a member of the NDC, the president cannot violate his own promise to the people. We will resist that. And I'm disappointed in Afenyo Markin. When President Mahama said, as a flag bearer of the NDC, that he was going to work with 60 ministers, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia reduced the 60 to 50. It's Afenyo Markin's suggestion that Bawumia was not being honest with Ghanaians when he said he would work with 50. And that if Bawumia had won, he would have apologized to Ghanaians and raised the number beyond 50. You see, we are running a constitution and a government that clearly must win the trust and confidence of the people. We have great trepidation on the way politicians and the political class toy with the lives of the people of this country. We believe that this country can develop with very decisive, bold-minded leaders. That things that we have been doing with careless abandon, it will take time to do them right. We can get them right. And so when John Dramani Mahama suggested to the people that he was going to run 60 ministers, Ghanaians saw something new in that. Yes, I've heard people say that 60 ministers in financial terms, the quantum of savings is not that huge. But when you escalate that to include what it will mean to the Ghanaians in terms of the desire of the president to cut out waste, when you escalate that to our foreign partners, to see how recklessness and impunity is being controlled and checked by this, when you escalate that to deal with the issue of nepotism, you are working with 60. And so in the 60, how are you going to deal with your family members?
The chairman's a committee that you actively participated in, not as a member, had proposed 25.
25.
And then subsequently after the validation conference, where you, Kujetu and the rest of them were, Setekwe was there as well, it was increased to 55.
Yes. Yes, because...
So we can even do with less.
We can do with less. 60. And I agree with you. We can do with less. And there are examples everywhere in democracies, good examples that they're doing with less. You see, Obama came here and signaled to us how we could do with less ministers. He told us to build strong institutions. If you have strong institutions, accountability, transparency, delivery of prosperity will be guaranteed. To the extent that, talking about the capitalist system, to the extent that you build strong social institutions with a sense of justice to mitigate the excesses of capitalism.
Okay, let me go around and return to you on maybe single out appointment of Bevrolati as envoy to the Sahelian states, military juntas who are overseeing these countries, even though some of them are receiving the loudest applause across the world. The ECOWAS is not happy about them and their breakaway from the regional bloc. So what are we doing? What are we getting into as Ghana, designating an envoy to these places? Or maybe that is actually strategic to try to woo them back into the democratic fold, so to speak. Suleimana, thanks for joining us. Hello, Sule. Okay. If Sule cannot hear me, it's Bashirat. Hello, Bash. Please unmute your mic. Okay.
Hi, Samson. Sorry. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. From where you sit, what's your assessment of the appointment so far? Some of them are actually attracting indignation of NDC, foot soldiers. They say the NCA, Mr. Fianco, cannot be there. Reverend Fianco cannot be there. He's MPP true and true. The Ghana Revenue Authority, they say the man appointed there should be removed. Actually, they masked up. They were trying to mask up there, and there were numbers there as well, trying to sort of, I don't know, if physically stop him from occupying that office.
Yes, thank you so much, Samson. Good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Clearly.
Okay, thank you. So I think first, let me comment on the appointment and in terms of inclusivity, which is also very critical before I come to the question you asked. So far, in some parts, our president has done very well in terms of the appointment. And as he had always mentioned on his campaign tour and after he won, his interest is not just about political affiliations, but also about getting Ghanaians and citizens who will be able to deliver on the mandate. And also in terms of the political party manifesto that the NDC had used and promised Ghanaians. And I think for a country where we've always spoken about the winner takes all and why it takes away from us enjoying the expertise of other Ghanaians. The president has done well, and as much as some of the party rank are going to not be too happy about the caliber of some people who have been appointed, I think it is fair to say that the president will know what he's doing, and these decisions that he's been taking is not a singular decision coming from him as a person. Then also, in terms of the appointment that have been made so far, whilst in some parts our president has done so well, in terms of the numbers, in terms of balancing women and men and all of that, in other parts, when you look at it as a whole, it has not been really encouraging. So whilst we have passed the affirmative action bill, the bill does not say that we measure on a whole, but it does say that it is measured at different level of all appointments. So if it is districts at the district level, we measure that. And if it is at the ministerial level, we measure that. But as we speak, the appointment of ministers out of 42, we can say that we only have 7 women, which is woefully inadequate, 16.7. But if you look at other areas, the president has done well with balancing the equation. Then I also saw a press statement from our colleagues, persons living with some form of disability, where they were also expressing their disappointment that so far there has not been any representation from the community. But as much as possible, it is important that whilst we are craving to build an inclusive government, we look at all people and the minority groups that we have in our society. So to me, I think on the whole, it's been good, but disappointing. And I'm very sure that we should be bracing ourselves more for disappointment in the coming days because the appointments are not done. Then in terms of the outcry on social media, I mean, for the past days, it's been dramatic on social media, where people have even resorted to saying that people never knew that their own godfathers and godmothers also had godmothers and godfathers. So they are all getting disappointed in terms of how the appointments have been. But our interest as Ghanaians should be, will people be able to deliver? Or is it going to be business as usual for us? So if our major interest is to revamp our economy from the crisis that we all find ourselves in, and not just the economy, relationship, external relationship, our foreign policy, and all other things, I think for now, it's too early for us to start complaining because we've not even crossed the 120-day market. And there are always opportunities for reshuffling and all of that. So we should take our time and watch as things unfold gradually in our faces. Thank you.
Thank you, Bashiratu. And Mr. Frank Davis, watching from where you sit, is it impressive? of course, questions are being raised about some appointment being done without resort to the Council of State, which is yet to be established. I don't think this will be new, though. What do you say?
Anyway, thank you very much, and a very pleasant morning to all your viewers and cherished listeners. Inusa, you refused to say good morning to me, but I will say good morning.
Oh, Frank, sorry.
You deliberately my name and said good morning to Oliver. Oliver, morning.
Good morning, Frank. I hope you're doing
well. My troublesome lawyer. And, yeah, something good morning to. Anyway, I must say from the outset that I am enamored by the fact that His Excellency the President, John Mahama, intends to stick to his select number of ministers of 60. I only will wish that he is able to stick to that number. After all, our presidential flag bearer and candidate, as at then, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, intended to govern this country with 50 ministers. So if President Mahama is sticking to his list of 60, we all have to commend him. And at least he's done what is right by the people and is keeping to his campaign and manifesto promise. For that, I doff my hat. But the ministers, of course, I am not in a position to choose or select ministers for the president. But the names that have come out so far, well, we've known some of them in their public and private lives. And sitting here, I cannot for any moment, without any fear of equivocation or contradiction, I don't see how my learned and good friend Dominic Akuntigira, is that the name?
Akurtinga.
Ayene will not be an efficient and good Attorney General. I cannot for any moment in my life say that he will not be a good Attorney General, but it all depends on how he carries out the portfolio of office. I have known him as a legal practitioner through and through, and I know the principles he stands for, and I know what he's capable of doing in that ministry. So I can wish him all the best of luck. And hope that he just sticks into the tenets, ethics and principles that we have all espoused as lawyers over the years. So I wish him well.
There are those who are suggesting that we should look at something else, that whilst the president may be sticking to his 60 limit, the persons appointed to the presidency, a good number of them are ministerial level appointments. Their pecs will be the same like ministers. Apart from the deputy chiefs of staff and the chief of staff and deputy chiefs of staff, as well as the secretary to the cabinet, the rest of the 10 or 11 or so could also be considered as the president, whilst keeping to the 60, is using the back door to satisfy a certain number.
Something I will not sway into that area of argumentation, because let's be fair to ourselves. I mean, ministers are ministers. The office of the president is separate and distinct from ministerial portfolios, unless there is a minister of state in the office of the president. And so far, I think there are only 3 of them. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, and then 2 others, one for climatic change and sustainability, and the other for special initiatives. Yes, so they are ministers of state. That you can say are ministers, so to speak. But the office of the president, something with all due respect, is separate and distinct from ministers per se. So if even there are appointees or personnel in the office of the president whose office is an equivalent of a ministerial role. Yes, but they are not nonetheless in the office of the president. So I don't think we should just marry the two.
Okay.
We can look at the caliber of people